What's up, everyone? Welcome to another cracka crumbs update. It's comic book day! Yay! I had probably one of the strangest comic book days I've had in I could tell you how long. Um, I scored really, really well on some things here, and I've actually decided to drop one of the comic books I go to because they just finally pissed me off for the last time, and yeah, that was it. That was it. I'll tell you that whole stuff, tell you a couple stories, which are very interesting. And I will show you my pickups. I got some really cool ones. I'm very happy. I did have to cut back because there was just way too many stuff that came out today, and I'm trying to wait for. Apparently, the zeros are going to be coming out every week, so I had to cut back on a few of those just so I could save some extra cash for next week and get some other ones. But I'm going to show you all that stuff. But there's a comic book store I go to. It's called Comanche Comics, and they're not too bad. I used to go there all the time, and they did have some cool people, and but lately they've been sucking. I asked them to pull some of the zeros, of course they didn't. They said there's just too limited of copies of them, so that they're not going to pull them for anybody. And I got there pretty early in the morning because they open earlier than other comic stores. They opened up at 8, and I'm standing there and I'm looking around and I'm like, did you pull any of the zeros? And he's like, no, the whole big story. And another guy comes in and he's like, oh, can you? Because I have a box there. They put all the stuff in there, and the guy's like, oh, can I have my zeros out of my box? And of course, this guy had all the zeros pulled for him. So that really, really pissed me off. So no longer am I going there. So I just kind of walked out. I said, fuck you guys. You can shred my box, and I'm out of here. Um, Moving on, went to another comic book store I frequent, and I gotta tell you, it was insane. I got there when they opened at 10:30, and they had not put out any of the stuff because obviously the holiday on Monday they were supposed to get their shipment and put everything ready for Tuesday, but they didn't get it until today. So they were putting it out, and I was the first one there. I was waiting. I was like, "Are you gonna get the zeros?" And the guy that I talked to there all the time was like, "Yeah." He's like, "We'll have them." He's like, "Don't worry about it." And he's like, "I already got my list for polls, and then I have my list for what we're gonna have." So it was very, very cool. And I waited and waited and waited, and they just started putting it up. And then of course these everybody came in looking for the zeros, obviously, and everybody had to wait. And this is when it gets kind of funny. Um, it's gonna be a long update. This big huge dude comes in, and the owner had come in and said, can everyone just not touch the new releases yet because we just want to make a final count, make sure we didn't miss anything for polls or anything. And you got to respect that. He asked. He said, just please let us get it done, and then you guys can go nuts. And of course, the big dude heard every word he said and ignored every word he said because he just went straight for the zeros and started pulling all the zeros. And quite honestly, a lot of the zeros, they didn't have a lot of them. So this one guy just flipped out. He's like, dude, he's like, what did the guy just say? He's like, put this stuff back. He's like, are you out of your mind? He's like, you don't just go grabbing comics like that. And the guy's like, you talking to me? Are you talking to me? It was just a huge brawl. So it's like when comic fans go crazy. Um, it was very interesting to say the least. And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm waiting patiently. And then of course the big moment comes around and we were unleashed upon the new releases. And they actually it was just an interesting thing because I grabbed a couple of zeros that they had, but they didn't have a whole lot of them, so it was like I only grabbed like one or two because the other ones were already pulled for people. So that's the one thing, the downside of this comic store that I go to is they do pull for people, but because of it, um, you don't get a shot really at a lot of the new stuff because they only have, like, say they get 50 copies in of Batman #1 or whatever. um, Chances are 45 of those copies are pulls. So it's like, and then it's just a pain. So I grabbed a couple zeros from them, and I left, and I went to the new comic book store that I found, which they opened a little later than everyone else, and again, just very, very interesting. And I'm going to show you some kick-ass stuff from there because the guy barely knows me. I've only gone there once. This is the second time, and he remembered me because I'm unique, I guess. and the guy just went out of his way and just did some really cool stuff for me, and I really appreciate it. So he's got a customer for life now. Um, anyway, I'm gonna show you the pulls. But when I went to the new comic store, this is another funny story. There was this guy there. He calls himself Cap, which is I never met the guy before, and he was a little loopy. He was a little out there, but he was just funny, and like the owner said that he really is a little unstable, like mentally, but he's a nice guy, and you just got to kind of roll with his stuff. And sometimes he believes that the comic books are real, like the characters in there. So like he gets confused, I guess. And but it was funny. I wasn't laughing at him because he had a mental illness, but I was just laughing because he calls himself Cap because he's a huge Captain America fan. There's nothing wrong with that. And it was just funny because he's standing there and he's like, "Hey, how are you?" He's like, "I'm Cap," and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm Rick. And he's like, do you like Captain America? I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "You're American." I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Because if you're American and you don't like Captain America, you're a terrorist." I was like, okay. And he's just a funny guy, man. He was walking around talking to everybody. It was great. But anyway, let me show you the pulls that I got. Um, actually, I'll show you the ones I got from the one place because this really just wasn't really much of anything. But I got from the first comic book store. I got the first X-Men #2. I'm gonna give this thing a shot. The #1 I really did like, so hopefully this will be a good series. And I really like the cover. And the one and only #0 that I got from there that they didn't have too much of was really didn't have too much of anything, but that was Green Lantern #0. Very cool. I actually like the zeros. They're actually really cool looking. Moving on. To one of the regular comics I got from the first store. That's the Amazing Spider-Man 693. It's continuing with Alpha. I figured, what the hell, I'll give him his shot. And that was it for that comic store. Now, the cool stuff. Like I said, the guy, I only met him once, the owner. His name is Pete. Very cool. And he was just a cool guy, like, and I'm sitting there, and he's like, let me guess, you're here for the zeros, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, do you have it? He goes, yeah. He goes, I do. He goes, I have them all sorted. He's like, and I'm gonna bring them out in a sec. He's like, just give me a couple minutes. And I said, yeah, no problem. And he's like, he's like, I remember you were saying you're a Spider-Man fan and you're a Batman fan. And I said, yeah. I was like, I am. And he's like, all right. He's like, that's cool. And he's just, he wasn't saying anything. It was just weird. And so he went to the back and he got the zeros, put them away. He's like, just go take what you want, because I was the only one in there, other than Cap, and actually it was one other guy. I'm sorry, and so it was kind of cool. And I looked and I found, I didn't get #1 of this, but I found #2, and I figured, what the hell, I'll track #1 down eventually. I just might as well give it a shot. And it's Gambit #2. I thought the cover was cool. I figured I'll give Gambit a little bit of a shot because his series weren't too bad back in the day. So what the hell. Now here's what's cool. Here's what's very cool. I'm going to show you the zeros that I got, but I'm going to show you something else after that that's really interesting. I got Batman Detective Comics #0. Very cool. Action Comics #0. This one I grabbed because he only had 2 of them, and I'm not a huge fan, but I figured maybe this one might be one of those ones that's going to be the rare breakout, and that's Swamp Thing #0, because I did hear that Swamp Thing's been taken off lately, so I figured, what the hell. This is actually a series I like. I thought it was cool. It's Batwing #0. Green Arrow #0. And last but not least of the zeros, I figured I'll give it a shot. What the hell? Animal Man #0. There were other ones that came out. I think it was like a Justice League Earth 2 one. I didn't grab it. Like, I had to really I limited myself because some of the money that I saved, it was for the zeros, strictly for the zeros. But other things come up, so I had to use a lot of the money that I saved for the zeros. And the fact that they're coming out every week is going to really kind of hurt. But anyway, the cool thing that I was telling you about, when the owner asked me if I liked Spider-Man, and I liked Batman. a lot of the comic stores I went to, these were sold out, and the guy kind of hooked me up. He put it to the side. That was Batman Detective Comics Annual #1. I wasn't looking for it. I didn't even know the guy even heard me, but apparently he did. He put it to the side for me, and because I bought all the zeros, well, that he had, at least the ones that he had, I gotta say, man, he went above and beyond, I guess, to get a new loyal customer. But he gave me 2 books for free because I'm a Spider-Man fan, and I've seen them, but I didn't have a chance to ever get them when they came out, and yeah. But he gave this to me for free, and that's the Avenging Spider-Man #11 with the Aunt May cover, which I did see it in the comic book stores, obviously, but I didn't pick it up because I was very short on funds and I had to really kind of pick and choose. But now I got it for free. That was just really, really nice of the guy. And he gave me this one for free. Spawn is Amazing, which is the mockery of Amazing Fantasy #15 from Spawn. So that was just really cool. The guy, he's definitely has a customer for life. Not just because he gave me free stuff, but just because he's just a really nice guy, and he hooks you up. He listens to what you got to tell him. He asks you questions. I was kind of BSing with him for like an hour or so. Just had a great time, and I got a lot of cool books, and I was happy. And unfortunately, I lost a comic book store I like to go to because they just suck lately, and they not even lately, they just suck in general. So they're done. But again, the cool thing is the new comic book store I go to, and another one that I do frequent a mock time. The newer one is Phoenix Comics. They're gonna pull the zeros for me because I really don't know which ones I want to get. I would love to get them all, but I just don't have the money for them. So they're gonna do me a solid, and they're gonna pull all the zeros that they get in, and then I'm just gonna pick and choose. And he said, if worst comes to worst, if you don't want the zero, he's like, we'll put it on the shelf. He goes, it'll go. And from what I heard from Phoenix Comics and a mock time is that there are a couple of zeros out there that there aren't going to be a lot of copies of. So I mean, apparently Swamp Thing is one of them, and I think Batwing was one of them. And then they said something about oh man, I forget what the other one was. I think it was Aquaman is going to be a tough one. So be on the lookout for those if you're looking. Next week I'm going to have to go again. And of course the Marvel, the relaunch, the #1s are going to be coming out soon. So my fiance wants to kick my ass. She's like, you better start selling some more stuff. And I'm like, I'll have to wait and see. But anyway, thanks for watching the updates. And as always, if you like what you see, hit the little like button. If you really like what you see, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate all my subscribers and all the comments that they send. I love the stuff. And keep them coming, and keep your videos coming, because I do watch them all. Or, well, I'm trying to watch them all. So don't think that I don't. Like I said, people are like, oh, you don't watch all my videos. I'm trying. I'm getting there. Some subscribers I have a lot of videos to go through. I'm working on it. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next update or the next episode, which I believe hopefully an episode will come before an update, because I'm working on stuff, and we'll see. Anyway, catch you later.